Hello there, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials, here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to talk about the concept of arguments and what I call the one question that will stop any argument. This is being recorded in September of 2020, and it's right before the election. So you can imagine all the kind of arguments that can be happening. And I think we have to first understand that arguments are rarely productive, because often what people are doing is, again, trying to convince the other person they're wrong. And rather than people hearing another person's argument as good information, they just defend their position and go deeper into what I call the resistant brain. Those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, you know, I talk about 3 parts of the brain. Lower brain is called the brain stem, upper 80% of the brain, the neocortex. This is what I call the top of the mind. This is where we have access to our clarity, confidence, creativity, best interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills. Decision-making comes from this upper 80% of the brain, as well as our joy, our compassion, our ability to love those we love. Middle brain is the interesting part. It's the limbic system. It is the scanner, processor, router part of the brain. It scans incoming data, processes it or interprets it, and then either routes it down to the lower brain or up to the upper 80% of the brain, the neocortex. Problem is, it's not very smart, and it's working with old software. So it has a tendency to interpret almost anything negative as dangerous and throws us into the part of the brain that's designed to deal with danger. This is where we get angry, frustrated, stressed, annoyed, depressed, anxious, and that's what I do. I go around the world teaching people how to shift from this resistant brain, the reactive brain, into the proactive brain, where we actually make decisions and become more influential in our life and the lives of others. So in terms of an argument, we've got to recognize that anytime we're arguing with someone, chances are they're not really hearing our information, what we're saying as good information, and frankly, we're not doing that as well. So if you want to stop an argument, if you find yourself in an unproductive argument, there is one question I think you can ask. So let's assume someone's saying, hey, you need a dinner. Go, no, I don't. Yes, you do. Da, da, da. You can always stop and say, okay, I'm just curious. Do you really want to understand my perspective, or do you just want to convince me that I'm wrong? I think there'll be a silence at the end of that, because it really requires the person that we're arguing with to make a decision. Okay, well, am I really trying to understand their perspective, or do I just want to convince them that they're wrong? So if they say, well, you are wrong, and I just want to show you that, we'll go, okay, well, it sounds like we're basically just kind of creating an experience right now that really isn't working for both of us. Neither one of us are convincing the other. So, you know, this is not an argument I want to continue. There's a quote I have on one of my videos that says, we don't have to attend every argument to which we are invited. So if you decide you are in an argument that really, frankly, you don't want to keep attending, you can ask that question. Hey, is this something, do you really want to understand my perspective, or do you want to just convince me that I'm wrong? Now, here's something we got to be able to do if we're going to ask that question with any kind of moral high ground. We have to kind of make sure that we're going into this discussion trying to understand their perspective. And have you noticed how rarely that happens? We go in all kind of stoked to defend our position and convince them that they're wrong. They do not say, thank you for sharing this, such wonderful information. They hear it as they're wrong. See, that's the challenge. When people are telling the other person their side, what the other person is hearing is, you don't trust my judgment. You don't trust my ability to make a good decision. You're actually criticizing me as a person. That's why people can argue over the silliest little things, because frankly, it's not the thing they're arguing about. I call it the issue du jour. Could be this one day, this the next day, this the next day. The other person is hearing us say, we do not trust their judgment. We do not think they are people that make good decisions. And boy, will that get them into that kind of resistant, defensive perspective. So, by the way, I think it's also fair to say that there are people who really enjoy arguing, you know? They kind of do it tongue in cheek. They really enjoy it. The other person is enjoying their bantering back and forth. Afterwards, they smile at each other and go have a drink or go make love or whatever it is. And if that's the case, that's terrific. I had a kind of a relationship with George's father, my wife's father. And we would just kind of love kind of just arguing about something, you know, and he would say this and I'm going to know this and he'd say no that, but we both knew we were doing it tongue in cheek. We really cared for each other and there was no hard feelings at the end. If that's the kind of argument you're having and you enjoy it, terrific. Make sure the other person does, however, as well, however, because I think there's the potential for we think we're enjoying the argument and they're not enjoying it at all. So let's make sure that it's a mutually enjoyable situation. If that's the case, not a problem. But if you find yourself kind of arguing with someone or someone is really trying to convince you how wrong you are of someone, you really don't want to keep kind of going back and forth and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into this lower brain. You can ask that question, hey, are you really trying to understand my perspective, or do you just want to convince me that I'm wrong? What that does is it puts the discussion/argument on a different plane, because unless two people are either having fun with the argument or truly trying to understand the other's perspective, the argument is not only not productive, it has the potential to be destructive. There's another quote that I have on one of my seminars and videos. It says, an argument becomes unproductive when it starts producing more heat than light. So if you're not feeling enlightened by a discussion or an argument and it's starting to produce more heat and it's starting to divide you between the other person, or hey, maybe this person just frankly isn't that important to you, you know? Maybe they're just someone who's on Facebook who just loves to argue and really likes to get into it with people. And if you're just not one of those folks or don't find this particular discussion/argument productive or effective, you can always ask that question. Hope you're finding these videos meaningful. I'm enjoying bringing them to you. I try to post one every week. I take my life from the top of the mind philosophy, which I go around the world teaching. And by the way, if you'd like me to come to your organization, your school, you as an individual, show you how to access this clear, confident, creative part of who you are, regardless of the situation, even in the middle of an argument, that's what I love to do. This book is also on Audible for those of you who like to listen instead of read, and I get to go around the world teaching this to people. So if you would like me to come and teach it to you or your organization, all you got to do is go to my website, BillCrawfordPh.com, or just Google Bill Crawford PhD. I'll come up on the first page, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, if you find yourself in an argument that you're just tired of or is not working for you, try this question and let me know how it works. Because what I have found is when I ask that question, it pretty much stops the argument in its tracks. Because either the person who says, yes, I'm just trying to convince you you're wrong, which in case there's really no reason to continue the discussion, or, well, sure, I want to understand your perspective. And so you can begin to explain it. However, they start arguing with him, kind of go back to that to make sure that what you two are really doing is working on truly understanding the other person's perspective, which could be a really important component in a meaningful relationship. Your spouse, the person that's meaningful in your life, a really close friend, etc. So if that's the case, terrific. But if not, and you want to stop this argument, I hope this question can help. If you're liking the videos, please hit the like button. You know how everybody loves it when you like it. Subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe on iTunes, Twitter, Pinterest, all the social media. I try to post all of those. So in the meantime, here's to you. Before we meet again, here's to you. Bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the future.